in one really critical final game, I had the puck as a goalie. I think I was up 1 and I coughed it up. Goalie was out of place, tied it up, and then lost it in overtime. And then that was like forever a huge burn. This might be super controversial. I don't know. And I feel like the timeline was that Genesis was created first, right? Like the Genesis version of NHL 94 was the first one. And then the super one came next. And I almost feel like they fixed some of the things. Like it's more of a, I don't know if it's a polished version of NHL 94. I don't want to piss off anybody on the other end, but because you got Lemieux, right? The 100 player who can, I think there's a love-hate relationship with him because when he's on, he is unstoppable. But when he's a little slower, then he's rather pedestrian.
Welcome, 16-bit hockey fans, to yet another edition of the NHL 94 podcast. I'm your host, Len the Legend, and today class is in session because we're joined by another person representing the SNES community. And this time I'm honored to bring on the professor, and he's going to be spending time with me to talk about NHL 94. Professor, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Living the dream, and I'm very thankful you're taking time to come on the show. And yeah, so let's just get into this because NHL 94, everybody wants to hear this. Everyone wants to know a little bit more about it. But I want to know about you, the professor, like your background in terms of how you got into NHL 94 and how it is like you got to where you are right now. Because you're one of the, well, let's say the more prominent individuals in the SNES community. You're very highly skilled, and a lot of people want to take you on and beat you because, you're top of the heap or just about top of the heap. So I want to hear your story about NHL 94, how you got into it and how you came to here.
I think it's probably what like everybody's story is. You play it as a kid in a basement with friends. I remember actually, I owned NHLPA 93, and I played that a lot. And then
Which system?
For Super.
Okay.
I don't touch Sega. I know that there's like Super NES guys that are learning how to play Sega. I'm like, no, that's just not a thing for me. No offense to anybody, but I just stick to the thing that I like know and love and grew up with. None of my friends actually had Sega, coincidentally. I don't know why that happened, but it's just a coincidence. But yeah, so I played NHL PA 93 and I loved that game. Then I read about NHL 94, probably in a magazine or something, and I heard that you can edit lines and like all of those things, like the one time, like all of these things that were just brand new. And I was like, I got to get my hands on that. So I remember like trying to get my hands on it. I had a classmate that had it, but then didn't like it. And so I was like trying to buy it off him, but like it just never happened. Anyway, I got my own copy somehow and was just playing it nonstop as a kid. I don't know why, but I wanted to like play a season with it, and obviously doesn't have season mode. And so I had a notebook and I would jot down like every goal that I scored, and I like made up a season, and I tried to just like keep stats and just try to live the dream of like being an NHL player like on the video game. Anyway, then I found I met friends in grade 6 and 7 and found out that they played this game too, and I was like, holy smokes. Like, okay, so then we played all the way through high school. It was just it was like a core group of the 4 of us, and like in my friend's basement we would take turns going one-on-one. We then somebody got a multi-tap from somebody, and so then we were able to go 2-on-2, and that was a doozy. So then we made a trophy out of Lego, and we did the whole like tinfoil around it, and it got really, really hardcore and serious. And something I still get teased a little bit to this day whenever I see them is what's called the J Toe giveaway. So like my name's Jason Toe. And so in one really critical final game, I had the puck as a goalie. I think I was up 1 and I coughed it up. Goalie was out of place, tied it up, and then lost it in overtime. And then that was like forever a huge burn. But everybody's got a story like that, right? Like you've got this like either a golden goal, or you cough it up. And anyway, so just kept playing. And then I learned about the community as a in my, I must have been in my mid 20s, but I had a kid and a young child, so I wasn't really able to join the online community. And then COVID hit, and I remembered this thing existed, and what else are you going to do during this time? So then jumped on, and have been playing online and doing that ever since. Well, actually, even before that, I played in that King of '94, the first one, right, with Mikey at Real Sports.
How did you fare?
I got fourth. So that was a really cool thing. Everybody came into that place being the best in their neighborhood. And I was like, well, I don't know how I fare, right? Like everybody was just kind of like sizing each other up. And I was winning. I was like, oh my God, like I guess I'm actually half decent at this game. And then I played Bob K, and then he showed me like how it's done. And I was like, oh man. But then what, that was really the bug that got me as an adult, was like, it's always been fun. And now I can say that I'm actually pretty good at this, like from an absolute standpoint, rather than sort of like a relative to, people around me. So yeah. And then I think there was another one in person, and I kept hitting like fourth. I think I hit third. And anyway, but then being online was really great, and it's been amazing ever since. And I'm pretty grateful I'm very grateful for the community that they nerd it up, and they change up the ROMs, and they do all this stuff. I was like, man, this is wonderful. Like, it's just finding people that have the same interest as you, and it's just been fun. It's been super fun.
Do you get involved in that side of things, where you're changing the ROMs, doing edits to the ROM, or
No,
are
man,
you simply just a player?
I don't know how to do that. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, like I know the great thing about the community is that people chip in some way, right? Like whether they're like Jay, who edits, the seasons online, and just sets it all up to people making ROMs and organizing seasons. And I try to help Halia when it's a in-person tourney in Toronto. I'll chip in, and if I can't help with time and energy, because I don't know how to do those things, I'll buy people coffee or whatever, just chip in monetarily. It's just like the least I could do, because this community is built on the people that play it. And I kind of want to keep this going as long as possible in my own little way, right? And playing also, well, that's always fun. I can do that easily. That's not a thing.
Well, it's good that you're around to play, because it's one more person that people could play against. And you're one of the let's be honest, you're one of the best players out there for the SNES side of things, because if you look at the list of people who's on the top of the tier, your name always comes up on that list as well. So just kudos to you for coming in not just fourth in the initial tournament, but then just progressing from there. Bob Kadelsky may have showed you a thing or two initially, but now you two are teaching each other a thing or two, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's fun. Like winning the last one was bananas. Like I that when you go into like a live tourney like that it's some of it is luck, right? You just got to make sure you catch lightning that day, and just things just happen to work out. And that's the fun thing about, at least on the SNES side. Like I know in Sega there's people that, I mean, there's a dominant couple, right? But I feel like there's 5 or 6 people, especially, or maybe even 7 or 8, like on any given day, like anybody can win something. So it was just pretty cool that it's actually not a lifelong dream, but like since that first King of '94, and I guess that was 2015, I was like, I want to win this. Like I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I want to do it. And so to like actually, be able to win that was really, I don't know. Is it weird to say that's like a fulfillment of a dream, of a niche hockey game? I mean, I was like, I mean, nobody other than the 100 and 150 people that are in the community really care.
Oh no,
it cared to me. It mattered to me, man. It mattered to me.
This podcast gets millions of plays, so it's you're underselling the amount of people that
all right.
So I don't want to gloss over something, because you talked about your beginnings where you got you had your SNES, you were trying to chase to get NHL '94 from your friend, and eventually ending up getting it. But In terms of other games, because I always like to hear what other people played as well. What other, because you were SNES guy, and you still are. What other games did you play on the SNES? I'm curious what you did.
Oh, what else was there? You know what? It's such a range. Like I actually, well, I didn't play it, but my brother would play Zelda, and I would watch him for hours.
A Link to the Past?
Yeah, Link to the Past. Yeah,
Such a good game.
that was a good one. But actually, as a kid, I was really, I don't know, that sort of RPG thing kind of freaked me out. I was like, you know, you embody that person so much. I was like, I didn't really like it. It scared me actually. I don't know why. Even
Were you into
still,
Mario
probably.
Kart then?
Oh yeah, so I was
Yeah.
really into Mario Kart, and there was a point where I was so obsessed with that first, you know, that first course. Like it's the simplest one,
Yeah,
but I wanted to
Mario Circuit
shave,
or something.
yeah, like every millisecond off of it. And so I remember doing that like 100 times at home, just like all the drift turns that you can possibly do, right? Anyway, yeah, there was that one. Like Mario World was
I
obviously
love that game.
everyone's. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Killer Instinct eventually, that was, and Street Fighter 2 Turbo was a good one. I really enjoyed that one. What else was there? Oh, Mario Paint actually. I don't know if you remember Mario Paint.
Did you have the mouse?
Oh yeah, and the mouse pad and everything. Yeah, making music and the art. Yeah, I don't know why that was creative outlet in Super. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so then did you ever get to play Genesis when you were younger, or you just nobody had it? You never even played it at all? Because
Yeah, nobody really had it in my neighborhood or like any of my other friends. It was a mainly Super Nintendo sphere that I lived in. Yeah, I don't know why, like and it feels like a lot of there's a disproportionate number of Super NES players like in Canada compared to in the States. I don't know, and I don't know whether that's a marketing thing or if it was just I don't know if it's a cultural. I have no idea. But no, I never really played Sega. Actually, I think I might have had a friend, and then just the 3 buttons instead of 4. I was like, what the hell is this? Like this,
actually
I'm not
six.
like it. Oh, okay, you know what I mean. But like
Yeah.
you see, I don't know. It was just so foreign. I'm like, no, no.
Because remember when Street Fighter came out, we're going into the weeds here. When Street Fighter came out, it worked so well on the SNES versus the Genesis because the switch between the kicks and the punches on the standard controller, you had to press start.
Oh,
So when you
really?
press start, yes,
Oh my
that's why it
god.
was. So the SNES had it beat because you could use all 6 buttons right off the bat.
Yeah,
You know, the shoulder buttons weren't, you know, the greatest buttons to use, but they're there,
but they
right? You
worked.
had
No, they
everything.
worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so remember when it first came out, I went from Genesis to Super Nintendo, back to Genesis to Super Nintendo. So I traded
Oh.
them in.
Uh-huh.
That's my journey. But because I traded initially, I wanted to get Super Nintendo because of Street Fighter 2. That's the reason why I traded in my Genesis, and NHL got me back to because I saw NHL 94 and NHL 93. Sorry, NHL 92, sorry, initially from my friend, and so I had to get the Genesis back. That was my thing. But anyways, okay, just curious. Did you ever at all, like in the past, maybe since you started playing, have you ever tried playing NHL 94 and Genesis? Because it seems very different. I'm curious to hear your
It
thoughts there.
really is, and just all the idiosyncrasies of the Sega game, really it's really two separate things. So I know
Yeah.
they share a title, but it's just by name only. And I know that people are maybe I don't know, people would argue that there's some transferable skills between the two, but to me it's like night and day. Like I don't understand, like I can't even say like some of those like shots and the check, you know, glitches, and I don't know. To me, and this might be super controversial. I don't know. And I feel like the timeline was that Genesis was created first, right? Like the Genesis version of NHL 94 was the first one, and then the Super one came next. And I almost feel like they fixed some of the things. Like it's more of a, I don't know if it's a polished version of NHL 94. I don't want to piss off anybody on the other end, but I don't know. I just feel like there were just some of the things that were blatantly incorrect in the Genesis one that doesn't seem to, translate over into the Super version. Now everyone hates like hitting posts in Super Nintendo, but that's
Why?
well, there's just so many. Like you hit a post, like you hit 2 or 3 every game.
Oh, I didn't know that was I'll be honest. only watched video of SNES NHL 94. I've never
Uh-huh.
played it. I played the 93 version. I wasn't too impressed because of the frame rates on that,
Mm.
but um, I wasn't aware that there's a goalpost. Like
Eh,
there's a lot of people hitting
Well, it's
posts
like
on
a
it.
disproportionate number of shots hit a post. So it's whatever. I'll take
So
that over a weight glitch.
that's fair. Then how's 95? Have you played 95 and how would
Yeah,
you compare
so
that?
you know what? I played 95 and I was trying to remember because that had season mode and that had
Yes.
trades. And yeah, so that I remember playing that, but and correct me if because I haven't played that since I was 17 or 18. So I don't really remember, but I remember feeling like there was no such thing as a backhand. So when somebody like when you were trying to shoot backhand, it would actually turn the guy over and shoot forehand. I remember like, what the hell? Like this is annoying. And also the feeling of the players was very different too. So I liked it because you could trade.
Yes.
I think you could trade. Yeah, I think or
You can create
yeah, you
players
could trade.
too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And so I liked that there was an expansion in, in the one player realm, but other than that, the gameplay in 94, you really can't beat it. Yeah.
Agreed. So then, okay, let's go into your journey from becoming this prominent SNES
Hmm.
94 player. Now, as you were growing up, you were playing against your friends, and I guess over time, you must have played a lot of the computer, I would assume, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you still find any value in playing the computer, even right now at your stage of your 94 career?
Um, I don't really. I mean, just recently, I was actually looking on Discord and looking at the channel that has the world records, and so I thought, like maybe it might be fun to try to hit a world record for goals you score in a game or like a 20-minute or something. I don't know, but it's good to because a lot of times players will keep even though there's a manual goalie that they'll not instinctively turn that on, and so you got to really know how to deke the automatic goalie cold to maximize your scoring chances. So
Unpack that, Deke the
yeah,
goalie Cole. Yeah,
well, I
that's
mean, like everybody knows that the wraparound or the go one side, the other side, and you take a shot. But there's lots of things that work 100% of the time. And so when the time comes and that's happening in a real game versus a human, you got to make sure that you bury that. Otherwise, you're leaving a goal on the table. So I mean, I haven't done it lately, but definitely in previous in-person tourneys that you warm up a little bit to just make sure that your timing's good because against the best of the best chances like that don't happen that often, and so you really got to take advantage of it
mhm.
if you're deking the AI goalie. You really got to bury them. I mean, that's just my thinking. Yeah.
That's fair. So, okay, let's say there's somebody new coming to NHL 94 and they may have watched it either videos on YouTube or whatever video platform they like, or even they played some of it on Genesis. So they're coming, they're brand new to the SNES thing. What skills would you recommend that they work on to advance their game?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, definitely the ways to deke the automatic goalie. So I can't even list. There's probably 5 or 6 ways that work pretty much all the time, whether it's a wraparound or the cutting across or, like the one timers from the side of the net over to the guy, like in the slot. Definitely knowing how to beat the auto goalie is a huge one. Making sure you know how to just make smart passes. Also, another good one is the AI for the players. Players often in the offensive zone, they'll just kind of go in a circle, especially
Mhm.
the guy in the center. That the center is usually the one doing. So, uh, you know, if you can recognize when that AI is going to go towards the net, that's a good time to pass it to them and hit the one timer versus if they're drifting on the way out. If you're passing it to them, they're going to be at the blue line. They're going to take a shot, and that's not going to go in. I mean, little things like that, but I mean, generally the one timer, yeah, deke the goalie, know how to do a one timer, and then the rest is just live and learn and learn from learn from the mistakes.
Yeah, getting reps in is huge. And you were saying that
Mm.
you're noticing that the center does these loops. He's going in circles. Now,
Mm.
is it always the same? It is always going clockwise or counterclockwise?
Oh,
Is that's always the same thing, or is it just random?
I don't know actually. Let me think about that. I've always, you know what? I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I can't actually imagine. I can definitely see them going counterclockwise. They probably go the other way too,
Would they
but
go the other way when they're switching sides? Like if he's going counterclockwise, going up, would
you know
then
what?
going.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe if they're further to the left of the net, then they'll loop around this way, right? To go
Mhm.
clockwise. But then if they're closer to the um on the right side, they might start going left. I don't know, actually. I don't pay enough. It's so automatic. I don't know. Sometimes it's so hard to unpack what you do in a game anyway. Yeah.
You know what? These are some pretty cool specific SNES tricks that you're laying on us here. And another one you touched, I think you touched upon where you press the A button to stand up, like that, or not A button,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The
the
Y
hold button.
button. Yeah,
Yeah,
when you get hit, you pop up with the Y.
yeah,
Yeah, the beauty of that is then not only do you get up, but then it often holds the guy that hits you because they might often um, control the puck after they hit you, right? You've got the puck, they hit you, now they've got the puck, but then you press Y right away, and then you're hooking them, you're holding them, so they can't get anywhere anymore. So it slows them down and prevents a fast break or something. Um, yeah,
I'm gonna give you some.
that's an advanced move though.
Well, I'll give you some pushback here because
Uh-huh.
that I would say that's potentially a bug in the game, right?
Oh
Like you're on the
yeah,
floor,
okay, yes, that is a bug in the game. Yes.
right? So
I'll
then
give you that.
almost it's almost the same way you're like the abuse of the weight bug in the Genesis version. It's right, like every system has their quirks, so we're trying to abuse it as much
Well,
as
okay, but you
possible.
know what? That's just like the equivalent. Okay, if a guy gets hit, you get back up. We're just accelerating the process. If you just let it run, yeah, I mean they're hurt, I don't know, like they're dazed or they're hurt, and then they get back up again. So we're just accelerating the process. It's not okay. I'll give you that it's a bug, but it's not as bad. Actually, the bug is when you pop back up. For the first like 2 or 3 seconds, you can't possess the puck. So like you have to know that if you pop up and you're trying to get the puck, that you can't, and so you might have to hit the other guy and like wait it out a little bit and then pick up the puck. So I'll give it to you. That
So no, there is
Yeah.
some thought process behind it in order when to use it because that I've never used it, so I haven't firsthand experienced what it's all about, but I've seen it in video footage. But the fact the way you're saying it, that when first 1 or 2 seconds you're not able to get the puck, so there's a strategic use to it of when to employ it. So you know what, I'm gonna have to try out SNES NHL 94 one
You won't
day
go
and
back, Len. You won't go back. Well, no.
maybe that's the case. Maybe I'll flip it back and forth. Who the heck knows? But um, I'm just curious. I've seen you in footage use timeouts and stuff like that. Does that give any advantage? Is that just a mental thing that
That's
you're
a
trying to
mental
play?
thing, man. That's a mental thing, and Bob is
So it's a chess game.
a little bit. I mean, it's so much of, I don't know if it's like in Genesis, but like you can get on a roll real fast
Mm-hmm.
in Super, like you win some draws right away and you can score 3 or 4 right away. So part of it is just to take a break from the rhythm and just kind of, yeah, I don't know, it probably it doesn't do anything. I'm almost positive it doesn't really do anything, but at least it just um it breaks the rhythm so that somebody is less likely to get on a roll. But it's a way to signal for me. It's a way to just let the other person know, like, damn, like you've got my number right now, like I just need to
Mm.
like take a moment and breathe. Just a moment of humility, but then also, yeah, trying to get the momentum back on your side.
Yeah. And also, then, do you ever employ the change the goalie tactic?
um, no, because I know from a technical standpoint that backup ain't going to be any better. That his numbers aren't any better. So, but yeah, I mean, like if the game's out of reach and you just again need to just tip your cap to somebody, part of it is just, yeah, yank that goalie and just be like, look, you've got me today, or you've got me this game. It's more of a communication, to let them know, to let the other guy know, yep, you've got me today. Yeah.
Do you ever pull your goalie to get the extra attacker, if you're down 1 or 2 goals, or
Oh
that
yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah, oh,
really?
yeah, definitely. Like if you're down 10 seconds left, for sure. Like if you need,
Mhm.
especially if it's an offensive face off. Sometimes like even in the first or second period, if there's 4 seconds left and it's an offensive draw, like there's no way that guy's gonna, get it down the ice right away. So that one guy might be the difference to, you know, try at least when you win the draw, it's not going to go like down to center ice or something. You've got an extra guy to maybe pick it up. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the standard goalie pull strategies that work in real hockey work in '94 too. Yeah.
Do you ever figure out a way to take advantage of the flip the puck thing? Like, I'd like to hear how
I
if
don't know.
you
Well,
have.
like some guys, yeah, like if it's a defensive draw and then they win it and then they'll flick it up, like Bob does that all the time. Um, I think it's a pretty good way of trying to just, yeah, like get the puck over the crowd of players and just like, um, yeah, chase it. But it's such an uncontrollable thing. Actually, there's a very famous goal that I was a victim of that like Coke. Like I think I was like when it's the Y button pop up, right? Like I was gonna hit him, and I basically hit him, and he anticipated that his player was gonna fall, but he didn't, and so he flicked the puck up, and then he caught it with that same player and like this little spinorama, and then scored with I don't know, it was like 5 seconds left. It was just like it was a miraculous goal where it looked like he's flicking it to himself over guys and then deking the pants off my goal. Anyway, yeah, but I don't think anybody real other than the flipping it over everybody in the defensive draw. Nobody really uses it to control. It's not a controlled pass, that's for sure.
Now, there's the J-Toe giveaway. Did they name that particular goal and name it after you? And I don't
Oh,
know,
for
the
sure. Oh,
J-Toe flip?
yeah.
Like,
No,
right?
no, the giveaway. It's really the giveaway, man. Like it was like the game was in the bag, and I don't know what happened, man. I just coughed it. Like my goalie was way off on the side, I think, and I just wanted to actually pass it to down the line or down the boards, but then it ended up going like the center ice right to like the other team, and then it was
Do you
a
remember the
wide
teams that were
opener.
playing?
No, no, I try to not to think about that, Lynn. Like it was a
Sorry, don't mean to bring
it
up.
was like a really pivotal championship game, and I couldn't, I wasn't. They didn't let it go for like weeks. Yeah,
Don't mean to bring up bad memories now,
yeah,
but
it's traumatic.
I'm curious. You've played enough, and you have a lot of experience with NHL '94 and the SNES. I want to hear your thoughts about how you rank player attributes. So maybe if you could
Mm,
rhyme them off, which is the most important to the least important, maybe give a
mm.
little bit of a snippet behind it as to why you
Yeah.
rank them where they are.
So in how the guys play, like the real guys, it's such a physical game. So weight is definitely an important one. Um,
What weight are you looking for in particular?
Something north of, well, like even 196, but like because I think it goes in in increments of 8, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So like if you're north of 200, I'd say that's solid. So the chances of you getting knocked down are lower, and the chance of you knocking somebody down are higher.
Is
So
there too
yeah.
much? Like a mixed sortie? Is that too much in your
No,
opinion?
no, there's no such thing as too much.
Oh,
So, but then the next two are really speed and agility for me. So agility really is, how quickly can they turn on a dime? And so usually, yeah, bigger guys have lower agility, but if you've got high weight, high agility, and high speed, like you're a machine. But then also there's a bare minimum of stick handling. Like if you have a stick handling of like and I think I don't know how it works on the back end of the coding, but like it's like I think it goes from 1 to 6.
mhm.
At least that's what the spreadsheets that we use for the draft league say. But if it's anything less than 4, then you're in at risk of a guy bobbling the pass, right? And so and if you're a pass heavy guy, like I'm generally pretty pass heavy. Like I need to count on that guy to be able to take the puck. Like you're useless to me, like if you can't take the puck. And then a lot of people are like that too, right? So yeah, you got that's a bare minimum. But then once after that, yeah, then it's really the weight, speed, agility. Everything else is just gravy. Yeah.
So stuff like checking or offensive or defensive awareness,
Yeah,
passing.
checking is a good one. So like one of my favorite players is Esa Tikkanen. So I pick that guy all the time, like in the draft league, the Dangler and Co. Run, because he is a big guy, high speed. He's like a 5 speed, 5 agility. I think like 5 checking too, or something like that. So I like him, and I don't really know, and I'm waiting on the NHL '94 researchers to uncover like what does offensive awareness and defensive awareness, like I don't actually know what those things do, man. But if somebody can enlighten me on that one, that's great. So but yeah, generally those are the big stats that I look for. Yeah, it seems to go pretty well when we run the draft league.
So you're not big on like shot power or even shot accuracy. That's something that you tend not to look
No,
at as
not the accuracy. I don't know that, but shot power is, again, that's a gravy thing. So if somebody is like, that might be a tiebreaker, but that's not necessarily something that I'm super looking for. Um, yeah, because like a wrister is pretty good. It's really a backhand. Like if you've got low shot power, your backhand really sucks, and so that definitely could be a bit of that could screw you over once or twice in a game. But I don't worry too much about it. Actually, Esa Tikkanen has pretty high shot power too. I think that's another reason why I like him. Yeah.
thoughts on Brett Hall then, because he's
Oh yeah.
I'm curious on
No,
what you would
he's a good
say about
one.
him.
Yeah, he's pretty good on the speed and the agility. His shot power is good. Like he's a solid player, but there's just other ones,
Yeah.
that you would pick in front of him. But if he's lower on the draft order, then I'd go for him. Yeah, no problem.
So you were talking about speed and agility, but you didn't say which one you tend to favor. Do you have a favorite of
Mm.
the two, or in your opinion, are they both just simply equal?
I think I don't know. They typically go hand in hand. Like someone like Peter Bondra, he's like a 6 speed, but like a 3 agility. So it's
Yeah.
almost like he's like like a train, a runaway train at times. But I think definitely. I don't know. It's hard because you can have a slow guy that can kind of be nimble. Like I think I'd rather take that over somebody who I can't really control finely when I get in front of the net. So I think a lot of how I play is that I don't tend to do a lot of one timers. I tend to deke and try to get in close proximity to the net to try to make a move. And so for me, I think actually, yeah, the agility piece is important. Like you got to be able to turn and kind of, yeah, meander around people that's how I make scoring chances. Yeah.
You're a big manual goalie guy.
Not as big as other ones, but definitely I know. And sometimes I have to remind myself, like when somebody is like deking the pants off the manual goalie, sometimes I get really reluctant because like especially the top guys, right? Like you think you're anticipating what they're doing, but they're anticipating what you're doing, and you know what I mean. Like it becomes this mental game that I'm like, you know what? I think it might be better sometimes to just let the manual goalie take care of it. So, but sometimes I need to hype myself to like, like, dude, like you gotta take over, like take command of the goalie. So it depends on how the other player is playing for me to determine like am I going to be taken over all the time or is it just some of the time?
And do you change your strategy based on the person that you're playing against, based on your history with them, how you've seen them play against you or other people? So does this impact how you're going to be, say, setting up your lines or playing against them, or you just have a standard way you do this with everybody?
No, I like different players, like because you play those guys. I play those guys a lot, and you get a feel for sort of like their style or their strengths and the things that you can hopefully try and exploit. So, oh, for sure, like different people have their personalities and their preferred ways of scoring and defense especially. So yeah, you definitely get a sense of like the top guys, like what they're really good at and how you have to do your best to contain them.
To go back to the goalies thing, we're talking about rankings, but we're specifically talking about forwards and defense.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you have a tier for goalies? I mean, no, everybody, at least on Genesis, there's Roy and Belfour is
Yeah.
one A, one B, and then Fuhr's next, and after that is kind of a big drop off, and it's just a scattered bunch of. But I'm wondering, does the same thing apply to SNES in terms of how goalies are ranked in the community?
No, I don't know. I mean, honestly, well, I think on the online community, someone made a meme of me saying like "fuck goalies" because goalies don't honestly matter all that much. Like I think maybe like a hair between like a Belfour and a Beaupre, let's say, but honestly, the goalies are just generally dumb, and that's why I'm saying like if you can like work on deking the auto goalie, it doesn't matter who's in the pipes between the pipes. Like honestly, it doesn't matter. Like you're gonna deke anybody if you know the standard moves. So definitely some of the goalies are again they have agility and speed too. So you might be able to have an edge when you take over the goalie to be able to slide across the crease. But generally, especially in like in a draft league where you definitely prioritize the five that are going to play all the time and even the backups, like generally, yeah, I the goalies, I don't know. I think that maybe that's psychological. Like if I have Wad because I happen to be playing with Montreal, like I might feel a little bit more comfortable, but generally, man, like I don't give a damn about those goalies. They're gonna let you down no matter what.
So pretend you scored 10 goals. You and I
Right.
are playing where you scored 10 goals on me. You probably score 50 goals on me, but we'll just say you scored. I held
I
you to
wouldn't do
10.
that to you, man. I wouldn't do that to you. I'd
Appreciate
let
that.
up. Yeah.
That's even worse. No, kidding. So just say you scored 10 on me. Now break that down. Of those 10, how many would you say are deeks? How many are one timers? And how many are, say, anything else, like slap shots or something else? I'm curious how you would break down your score.
Oh, I'd probably deke you. I don't know, probably 8 or 9 out of 10 generally. I think that's usually I don't know. Like so much of it depends on, the defense and what is, being given to you. But yeah, like I don't know. I'm a stat guy, like I said in the beginning. Like I would keep stats all. So that's why I also love the community because there's stats everywhere. And so when you're playing in a season, you can kind of look online and I'm usually at the bottom of the list in terms of the number of one timers that I take. But when I take them, I generally hit them. So I think I'm pretty selective of when I try to try a one timer. But yeah, I think generally I deke, and a lot of people know that I favor the forehand because the shot's just stronger. So half the time, like I think afterwards, I watch the stream and I read what people are writing. It's like he's shooting forehand like 90 times, like 99 times out of 100. So like, why can't you block it? But then again, like when you can tell that somebody is shading you to go forehand, well, that's when you switch it up and you go back in, and now you got him guessing. But yeah, slap shots are beautiful in NHL 94, like for super. Like it doesn't happen that often, and some people are better at it than others. Like I haven't really figured out how to do it, whereas some people have. But man, when you get a slapper, that's a thing of beauty wherever it is coming from. Like it's awesome. So I don't know. I'd love to do more of those, but I don't know how to do them really.
They tend to be corner shots? They're hitting like the top corners, or are they between the legs or something?
It's usually like most guys have left glove, so it's usually glove side when you're going down. Sometimes what I do is I drift, so it's hard to explain, but like I'm drifting away from my forehand, and then you shoot like back across the net.
Yeah.
So I sometimes those work for me. I think people are also slapping up, on the forehand side. I don't know, like I don't know, man. Like it must be something about the approach that people take to like. There's a certain drift angle, man. I don't know, but I gotta look at the tape on that to really figure it out. Yeah.
See, when you have the puck and you give it, say, to IF Brady or Doug Wilson or something, don't you have
Yeah.
this sudden urge just to just carry it in there and just rip it? Doesn't
But you know
matter if
what?
it's,
But their accuracy is not great, man. It's like 10 rows up.
but it feels so good to just hammer it. I don't care if it hits
I know
nothing.
it feels good, but it's such a to me, it's a low, it goes in with low frequency, right? It's like a low probability shot.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to win, and it's a tight game, like I'd rather pass it around to try to get a better scoring opportunity. But man, like, yeah, well, I don't know. For some people, it's a higher probability opportunity, and so they take it, and you know, when they score on me on a slapper, I'm like, oh, that's nice. Like, sucks, but oh, that was a nice one. Good one.
What
Yeah,
I've been reading is that the SNES community, for whatever reason, is they seem to be nicer, and I don't know if this is true or not, but
that's what
when
I've
there's a
heard.
well,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not on the other side, so I don't know the discourse of what happens there. But I don't know. I don't know. We just a bunch of nice guys that just, you know, love
yeah,
playing and know that I think part of it is also, well, I don't know. I know that, like, I could lose any time to most of the, you know, the top guys, and even guys that are not, like, you know, I definitely will lose my share of games against, like, you know, guys that are in the B league right now, or let's say. So I don't know, like, there's an appreciation of each other, I guess, that might be a little different. I don't know. Maybe it's just the norms, the cultural norms. Maybe, again, like I said, like, we're disproportionately Canadian. I don't know. Like, does that have something to do with it? I have no idea.
well, you got to go up against the Z League guy like me, and we'll see if I could.
I'll still GG
So,
you after, man, and I'll just be like, "Oh, good game.
thank
You
you,
played
thank you.
well."
That's the only thing I'll get out of you. It's not going to put much competition. Ever come across the rage quitters? Because I'm not sure if there is
Oh.
such a thing. But do you ever get that? And
I don't know about rage. Well, like, what does rage quitting look like?
just turning it
Like,
off.
oh, turn it off. No, I haven't seen
That's
it
a
turn
rage
it
quit
off.
to me.
Oh, is that a rage quit? Sometimes people will just, like, stop moving. You know, if I've scored, what, I don't know, like 12, and it's usually not one of the staple Super Nintendo guys. Like, it's usually sometimes like you know,
Me.
a Genesis guy coming and playing, you know, in a league where we're all, like, in, you know, and yeah, sometimes that'll happen, and it just kind of sucks. I mean, like, just go through the motions and finish it off. That's generally, like, even when I get my ass kicked, right? Like, I'll lose by 10, but, you know, like, keep playing with class, you know, at least keep trying, and yeah. Yeah. So, but no, I don't think I've ever had anybody just, like, you know, drop the net play off and just, like, call it a day. No, that hasn't happened yet.
In terms of the amount of goals scored, is there like when you're playing a game against somebody, is it more often than not one of you two are going to be scoring 10 or more, or is this kind of abnormal?
No, I don't think so. No, I think, like, there's games where I really, you know, the most fun are those 2-1 games or the 1-0 games. Those are nail biters. I'd say, like, generally there's like 10 goals a game, like, overall,
Combined.
right? In total. Yeah, that's, I don't know. Somebody's gonna have the stats on that, but that's generally kind of where where I'd feel like if I score five, I feel like I can score 5 or 6 generally. Um, yeah, like, in a game. Obviously, sometimes more depending on who you're playing, or sometimes less depending on yeah, the defense that you're playing against. But yeah, no, it's not like they're not football games. That's for sure. Yeah.
Do you prefer the standard 5 versus 5 ROM or something, one of the custom ROMs that say have less players on the ice?
Oh, so right now there's a 3v3 league that's going on, and I like it. It's different, right? Like, it's but there's definitely more chances to be creative, just because there's fewer people on the ice, and fewer obstacles, so you can do some, you know, do some stupid things, and make some plays that you wouldn't otherwise. So it has its place. Like, I really like that 3v3, but I don't know. There's nothing quite like classic, you know, just straight, you know, regular teams going at it. I like, you know, that's why it's classic. That's why everyone
Of
plays it.
course.
Yeah.
Those 3v3 ROMs, now, do you have a preferred partner to play with?
Oh well, right
NHL.
now that one's just it's a one on like it's a one
Oh,
on one.
oh,
Yeah,
so it's not just 2 versus 2, and then you're doing a
no, it's a
3v3.
3v3, and so you've got so they've
Ah,
changed it so that yeah, you can just pick three guys on your team, and it's just like it's the pond hockey.
pond
So
hockey, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I like that. Well, usually when I play 2v2, like I play with my son. So my son, I co-opted him to grow up playing NHL 94. It's only very recently, so now he's 16 and he realizes, oh, this is like a really, really, really old, like really old game. And so he came to King of 94 in October, and I think that's his last one. He's like he actually plays a lot of 2K10 on our Wii. We really have we don't have any of the more modern systems just because those things are crack, man. I don't know how people grow raise their kids with like all that stuff around, but we were like hard like you can play these things. These things serviced me just fine as a child. Like you can live with those too. And he's been playing a lot of 2K10. It's actually a pretty solid game. Actually, not gonna lie.
Is that the one where you actually have to physically like shoot the puck? Like because I
Oh, I don't know. You probably could, but we have the controller. I have the
like the Pro
adapter.
Controller or something.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, it actually kind of has the Super Nintendo configuration.
Ah,
Yeah.
so it feels right at home for you.
Yes, that's right. But he's better than me at that game. So
Oh,
yeah.
but in NHL 94, you could take him out 99 out of 100 times, right?
Yeah, 99 out of 100. Yeah, sometimes he's actually, not bad if he wanted to train really hard, but that's okay. I'm not gonna sit him in the dojo and like hours. Tell him to be like, peak until you get it in 10 out of 10 times or something.
Comes with this nice callus built on
Yeah,
his
that's
thumb and everything.
yeah, dad
So
of the year. Yeah.
I guess you don't have much to say about NHL Rewind. You haven't tried it out.
No, I mean I wish that there was a Super Nintendo version of that, but that's
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. Like because it's been a while since I played it, but you're right. It is based on
It's the
Genesis.
Sega. Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
Genesis version. So, but you know what? I think generally that's the more popular version. Am I wrong? I don't know. Just
it's
from
hard
a
for me
from
to.
a worldwide perspective, that's how I
I
feel,
think
right?
so. I can look at through my narrow view scope, and we all played for the most part on a Genesis. Even though I grew up in Toronto, and
Yeah.
Canadians, as you mentioned, primarily get the Super Nintendo version. But the only one I saw of Super Nintendo, like I mentioned, was NHL PA 93, and I saw that I was like, man, this is it was choppy. I didn't like
Oh.
the frame rate on that. And NHL 92 was the first one I saw when a friend of mine, computer was down, got it. And I was like, when I first saw it, I remember I was like, holy crap, this thing is amazing. Remember, we came from that time, Blades of Steel or NES
Oh
Ice
yeah.
Hockey. So that was a huge
Oh
jump. And it's
yeah.
like,
Oh, NES. Was that the one with the skinny guy, middle guy, big
you got
guy?
it.
Yeah.
You got Did
That's a
you
good
ever
one.
play that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I had the Famicom. So I was born in Hong Kong. So we had the
Ah,
we had the red and white Famicom,
yeah.
and we had I think that came in like a floppy disk. We had the disk.
They did
Um
have a floppy disk that's for the Famicom,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. And so I think we had that. And so yeah, I remember playing that. That was a good one.
Really? So even then Zelda for the Famicom, we're going to the weeds
Oh, I
here.
don't know if I don't again, Zelda scared me as a young child because of the investment, the emotional investment in that first, like essentially, it felt like a first person. I know it's a third person, but yeah, it was. I never played. I remember. Oh man, what's that? Like Adventure Island? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. Like you're throwing axes.
Yeah,
That was a good
that's
one.
it. That's Wonder Boy on Sega or on the
Um,
arcade or Adventure Island on the NES.
yeah.
Yeah, and you got the skateboard, you have the cloud board. Like I remember that. I played it quite a bit. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, you know that the Famicom actually had a speaker, sorry, a microphone on
Oh
one of
yeah,
the
yeah,
controllers.
yeah. So one of them, yeah, I had it, but then by the time I got older, that thing was, uh, I don't know, it got distorted
It
and
got
broken.
used.
You had to turn it off. I had to tape it. Like we had to pressure it because otherwise it would make an annoying buzzing sound.
Did you ever end up getting the Super Famicom then?
No,
Super
no.
Nintendo is what you got.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got the Super Nintendo. Well, yeah. By that time I was here in Toronto, and so we bought that through Consumers Distributing. Man, I remember that.
I
Remember
ref-
that?
Yeah, for sure I do. We'll go to Towers after this, or Wolco, or
Yeah. Oh, I remember just dreaming. Like my mom would take me there and we'd flip through the catalog and be like, all these games
yeah,
were, man, I can't remember how much they were. They were like 80, $90, right?
that was
Was
back
that
then too.
back then, 80,
Yeah,
$90? Yeah, I had no idea. I
yeah,
remember crying because my mom wouldn't buy me something like a I don't remember the game, but now I can remember. Yeah, that was a shit ton of money.
yeah. When you
Yeah.
got a game, you played that thing, because at least in our household there was no other game coming. That was
Oh
it.
yeah.
That you had that
Yeah.
game. There's you better, if you had a friend, maybe you could trade him, and that's about it. And
Yeah.
oh man, those are different times. But anyways, you know what? I want to. I think it's a good time to just transition to the rapid fire section of the podcast, where I
All
start
right.
firing pucks at you. Let's see how many you could stop. So, all right, some questions I'm going to throw at you here. We'll
All
start
right.
off with, name the top 3 teams you like to play with in NHL
Oh,
94.
all right. The Rangers, Boston. I guess you have to go Pittsburgh. That's sort of like the, because you got Lemieux, right? The 100 player who can, I think there's a love-hate relationship with him, because when he's on, he is unstoppable. But when he's a little slower, then he's rather pedestrian. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention Pittsburgh. So yeah, I think I'd go Rangers first. Rangers, Boston, Pittsburgh.
You are a Tikkanen guy, aren't you?
I
You're
am. I love. Well, you know what? Then they also have Gartner and Messier and
Turcotte.
yeah, well, and James Patrick is a real solid guy. And then they have we usually switch off Leach for Kevin Lowe, and he's serviceable. Yeah.
Why is Leach? I mean, I know this is rapid fire. This is my
Okay.
show. I'm
Yeah. Oh,
thinking
my
about it.
bad. My bad. I'm screwing
No,
with your
no. Why
format,
did
dude.
you take Leach off the ice? He's got excellent agility, but I guess
He's
somebody's
little. He's a little guy. And so when at least for me, and I think how a lot of people play, like your defensemen are your last line, right? Like I try to play D with my forward as much as possible, because then when if they're deking me out, then I can quickly switch to a defender, and I got to hit that guy. And Leach is just, I don't know, like I can't count on him to make a hit. So it's better. And I mean, this is just me, but like I don't really play a whole lot of offense with my defense. So I just need them to hit a guy and then pass the puck, and that's it.
So Scott Stevens, Ray Bork, those are
Yeah. Well, those are good
guys you
guys
prefer.
for
Yeah.
sure. But I mean, yeah, like if you've got a defenseman that skates well and hits, then you've got another option. But generally, it's the three forwards that do most of the damage.
So name the best defenseman, top 2 defensemen in the game.
No. Well, you got to go with Ray Bork because he's fast and hits. That would be the other one. Yeah, probably Stevens or.
So Coffee or Housley don't make the list?
Oh, Coffee. No, not Housley. He skates really well, but again, I remember playing Classic with him, and you can't really count on him to make a hit. Yeah.
Most overrated team in the game.
Ooh. Probably Chicago, even though I'm playing them right now with in Classic, and they're not half bad, but I think they're ranked pretty high up, but I'm not feeling the hype.
Most underrated team.
I wish I had my spreadsheet out. I didn't no idea you had we were gonna get these kinds of questions. Most underrated Edmonton.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the most underrated person, like human player in the community?
Oh, most underrated.
And you could underrate him because of what he does. You could underrate him in terms of how he plays, and people don't recognize he's that good.
I'll go with Tony Twist. He's the guy that he's one of the guys that I grew up playing in the back as a kid. So he's not in the A League, but I think it's just probably because he's busy with life and can't like commit fully to but he can be pretty deadly. So, and he's beat me many times. So I would never count him out in any matchup.
That's a good answer. Very good. What's a worse punishment for you? Playing 94 on Genesis or 95 on any console?
Ooh, 90 Genesis. No, I'm never playing. I know I am not touching that game. No offense to anybody that loves the game. I'll play 95 for Super Nintendo. Like that's like I grew up on that one too. I enjoyed making my custom league or custom teams. No, I will not. Sorry, I just can't get around to 94 for Genesis.
That's fair. Okay. Favorite league to play in?
I really like the draft league. So shout out to Dangler and Anatar and Tecmo John and all the other guys. I love that because it's like a dream. It's the ability to like just get your favorite guys, and it's also the strategy of it too. Because I mean I just kind of spilled some of my like what I value in a player, but other guys have their values too. So there's so much more to it. And then and then you just let it all happen after the picks, and just see how the season goes. But yeah, I really like that one.
So Ottawa, Anaheim, Florida. Rank them from best to worst.
Oh, I like Florida because they're oh, Anaheim.
They're bad. They're all bad.
Anaheim. I know. I like Anaheim because they're big. Florida
Okay.
has a little bit of skill. What was the other one?
Ottawa.
Ottawa. No, I'm not feeling Ottawa. No,
So they're the worst in your
I'd
opinion.
say yeah.
Okay. So some random Sega guy comes in. They pick the All-Star team. You pick the Senators. Who will win?
Oh, I'll win. Like a random like.
A random Sega guy that plays NHL 94 and Sega.
Oh, okay,
So
but well, are they like Raph that plays both?
no.
Oh,
So
okay, so
just some
like
jabroni like
like
me.
a. Oh, no, I'll win. I'll still win.
There you go. Most that's okay. So who's the most underrated player in the game in your opinion?
Under like a human or
No, like the 16-bit version.
who's the most underrated player? Tikkanen, I'd say, because for some reason, I don't know. He often seems to fall to me, just based on, like I said, the what I value. Like I have him like a top. He's like a top 3 player for me. So,
And then on the flip side, who's the most overrated player?
well,
Who gets
again,
picked
that
in these draft leagues too
sometimes that
high?
can be Lemieux. Lemieux can be a hugely overrated player if he's glitch sluggish in a game. You're like, man, what a waste of a first pick or a second pick. So there are days when it's like that, but then when he's moving, he's untouchable. So it's hit or miss. So like that doesn't happen with a guy like Tikkanen. Again, shout out to Esa Tikkanen.
He's consistent.
He's pretty consistent. He might ball the puck once in a while, but I don't know. Lemieux, like, everybody reluctantly picks him because they feel like you got to pick him. He's a 100. Like, how do you go wrong with that? But no, I'm telling you, he's pretty slow sometimes.
So I guess one of the last questions I have for you is this is a tough one. Who's better? You, Bob Kadalski, Antar, Dangler.
Oh, well, again, that's the thing. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. That's how I feel. I swear to God. I mean,
No,
like,
before.
yeah.
I was hoping you chirp somebody and
Oh, no. They're like I just lost to Anatar yesterday in a best of 5. So honestly, man, like that's the thrilling part of it, and it's probably the same too, like in Genesis. But yeah, with those like, and you throw in Coke, you throw in AJ, throw in Tick, throw in Raph, like there's a lot of people that can honestly win a league. So that's the fun part. Like, so I got on a hot streak and I was winning some leagues, and that was awesome because I was like, man, like I must be on a roll because I'm taking these leagues. But then things balance it out, balancing themselves out now. And so yeah, that's why it's so much fun, because it's like ultimately, winning's fun, but it's just like super competitive. So there's thrills when you when I play those guys, because those are the top of the cream of the crop.
I'm curious if there's one thing you could change about the game NHL 94. What would it be?
Oh, like put on a season mode or trades, if there was a way. Is that a thing? Can I do that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
if
because
they
that's
get,
the thing the next year in '95 they did it. So it's certainly I wish.
yeah.
I personally I wish they had fighting. I'm not sure if you were a big fan of
Yeah, I
that.
mean, yeah, I
But
suppose.
each their own, right? Like everybody has their
Yeah,
own.
no, if there was a way to like and keep the stats, like if you just had all the 95 features of keeping tally on goals and assists and all that sort of stuff, like just kind of go through a year. Well, that would have like I would have never stopped playing 94, I think.
Any last words before we sign off?
94 is amazing. And just a shout out to everybody in the community. And I'm sorry if I pissed off anybody on the Genesis side.
I'm not, because that's going to make for some good audio or some good
Oh,
videos.
great.
Well, the Professor, I want to thank you so much for coming on and spending time to talk about NHL '94. And you know what? I think you'll be coming on the show again in not too distant future.
All right. If you'll have me. Thanks, man. This was fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with that being said, thank you for listening and tuning in. Keep your controller plugged in and your stick on the ice.